Happy New Year and welcome to Movie Tavern. How may I help you?
Yeah, can I get one for the Grudge?
Well, I hope you enjoy the show, sir. Hey man, are you okay?
Yeah, it's just, seems to be kind of weird, you know? Just got a weird vibe or something.
No, I haven't really sensed anything weird. Did you meet my friend Kay, though? Everybody, welcome to Tavern Talk by Initial Reaction. Once again, I'm Philip, and joining me this week, Mr. Johnnie Brannon. Thanks for being back, Johnny.
Thanks for inviting me back.
Yeah.
Had a blast the first time around, and I'm very excited when you called me to come check out the Grudge.
Well, I mean, if there's anyone who's going to kick off a new year on a movie review show in Central Arkansas, should be the guy who is kind of at the heart of film in Central Arkansas, I feel like. So thank you for coming back, and you're kind of becoming our resident horror expertise here. We did Scary Stories to Tell in the Dark last time, so if you want to see Johnny on another episode, check out that one. But this week we are talking the remake of The Grudge, which I'm going to be honest, I don't have a lot of history with this franchise, I guess you could say. I don't know. So there are several Japanese films, correct? And then I know they remade it into an American horror film in 2004. It was with Sarah Michelle Gellar. I think there were some sequels to that as well. But as these things go, it's been 10 plus years since that, so we're going to remake it. We have a new one. And that's where we're at. This is the remake of The Grudge. It is another American remake. It is produced by Sam Raimi, directed by Nicholas Pesci. He did a smaller movie a couple years ago called The Eyes of My Mother, which I think we've both seen, both enjoyed.
Oh yeah,
yeah,
it's incredible. Interesting enough is a couple years ago, some of the guys with Film Society of Little Rock, we actually had a film festival called Fantastic Cinema.
Yeah.
And we actually screened Eyes of My Mother there.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
okay.
This was like right after, I think it played at Sundance, and we were able to get in touch with them and say, hey, we want to screen a film in Little Rock. And totally blew me away. It was my favorite film of the festival that year. So I was very surprised that he directed The Grudge, just Grudge remake.
Yeah.
I mean, oh my gosh, I don't even know where to start with this.
Well, I will say first that Nicholas Pesci's The Eyes of My Mother, it's on Netflix now. Stream it. It's short, like 80 minutes, and it's really well done. And it's one of those things that happens where they make, a director makes this small, kind of little innovative film that catches the eyes of bigwigs, and they pluck them out to do a big studio movie. And it's the first weekend in January. It's one of those January horror movies that we seem to get every year on this very weekend for some reason. Initial reaction. We just came out of this movie, The Grudge. What'd you think overall? I know you were like, I don't know where to start with this, but like gut reaction. Where
okay,
you
gut reaction. Okay, well, I'm remakes there's so many of them, and there's so many. The films they're choosing to remake are so interesting. So when I saw this, I ain't gonna lie to you, I wasn't sure. Like, I thought, well, they just did a Ring versus Grudge. Could have been a couple years ago, could have been 5 years ago. I'm not sure.
Yeah.
So I thought I started getting a little confused, and of course I'm bad about going back and kind of doing my research as well. I did go see the original Grudge, not the Japanese version, but the remake with Sarah Michelle Gellar at the theater, and it really wasn't that bad at the time. And of course, at the time, I think a couple of years before that, they did a remake of The Ring, and all these other Japanese horror films were starting to be remade. I did see the second one. I can't remember it. And I think, like I said, I think there's a third one. I don't know if I saw that one or not.
Yeah.
But this one was it seemed a little bit darker than the one with Sarah Michelle Gellar. I thought there were some things about it that worked. There was, of course, I'm not a really big fan of jump scares.
Yeah.
So there's a few.
There are a few, and they kind of feel. Honestly, they feel a little out of place here.
They do, and and if you shut your eyes and you probably wouldn't be as scared. But crank up the sound and so it can get you a jump, and I think it's going to confuse the audience a little bit with, was it really scary? No, it wasn't.
Right.
It really seemed more like a mystery suspense, more so instead of really a horror film. There were some horror. Elements into it, but it really felt more like I'm trying not to laugh when I say this out loud, a Law and Order SVU episode. It was just missing the
Yeah.
So
you have several of those tropes because I guess you could say the main characters are detectives.
They are,
but there are so many characters and so many different storylines in different time frames that it's almost you can kind of see what and Pesci is credited with the screenplay too, so you can kind of see what he's trying to do. Because I don't remember, I saw the original. I know I saw the Sarah Michelle Gellar one in 2004. I don't remember a thing about it, but none of this even reminded me of that in any way. Like it didn't bring back any memories in any kind of way. So I don't even know how similar this is to that one.
I totally agree, 110%. I was the same way.
Yeah.
I didn't. I thought, of course, it just seemed more commercialized when that version came out. It really wasn't as gritty as this one. This one, they could have totally executed. I think they failed to execute on several things because they did have the grit down. It was a darker film. The cinematography was a lot more had an ominous feel to it. But like you just said, the thing as far as the thing that really didn't work was the script. There's some plot holes. There's things for that they just stop. Okay, we're going to do this, and we're going to stop, and then we're just going to do this. And whether it works with the audience, we don't care. They're not going to care. They're just going to want to be entertained. But you take people that love film and make movies or whatever, then you're going to be like, what was that?
Right.
How come, that why wasn't this character still with her, and how did she get from here to here? What happened to that guy? And what happened with... So there are several moments of that. And then, as of course, when we talk about the script, it does jump around from different periods.
Right, yeah. And I was hoping that at least one of these sets of characters would prove to be really just would be the one that would really endear us to them. We would get really invested in at least one of these, but it jumps around so frequently that it's hard to really get attached to any one set of characters that is being affected by this curse that has been brought over to the U.S. and is kind of taking over all these different sets of lives, through various connections. It's a cool idea, and going back to Eyes of My Mother, it wasn't so much a horror movie as it was just completely unsettling and very creepy and just really terrifying in the ideas it presented, not as much, necessarily the execution of it, although the execution was, it was slow and measured and
it had a lot of
well thought out. Yes, very
atmospheric.
That's a great way to put it. And I was kind of hoping to see more of that here, but it felt like at certain points Sony was just like, you need a jump scare here, here, and here, and then so he had to go back and shoot these little insert shots that really had nothing to do with the rest of the narrative, but it was just well, that's what you paid for, kind of deal,
yes,
So that's what you get.
Absolutely.
But I don't know. I don't know if you can necessarily see the director's battle with studio execs in this one, because it's such a kind of plays it by the numbers scary movie.
Yeah.
And that's what you kind of expect when it comes to these January horror movies. But having just watched The Eyes of My Mother, I kind of want to see that there's more here than maybe the surface would indicate.
Absolutely. Everything you just said, of course, I was thinking the same thing. And I mean, really, if anybody's going to go out and see this film, you see the trailer, you know what you're going to get yourself into.
Absolutely.
This isn't going to like revolutionize horror. It's not going to do anything really any different. But you know, it's very similar to a lot of the horror films. It's the more commercialized horror films, big studio horror films or whatever. They got their game plan laid out. We're going to do it like this, jump scare, jump scare, jump scare, jump scare, and then maybe we might try to throw a twist in there. But no, let's go ahead and set up for another sequel.
Yeah.
So I was actually purposely trying not to predict moments, and in my head, there's a couple things I was like, okay, well, so and so's going into this room and they're going to see a ghost. They're going to take off running, and then ghost might pop up, and then we won't see what happened to them. And then we go to somebody driving in a car in the rain.
Yeah.
There's some moments in that, you know, and I ain't saying no names, and I ain't saying if that really happened or not, but it's in several horror films. You can actually probably line up several televisions and, you know, do that and see that. But this film really isn't much different. If you want to be entertained, yes.
Yeah.
It's definitely a movie to not take serious. I got the giggles because it just cracks me up. But there are some things in the film that I did actually laugh at because it was just like so ridiculous.
I was kind of hoping for, you know, because it did have this kind of self-serious tone to it, and because of the writer-director and what he did, you know, his previous film, and that kind of hope that there was going to be more to it than, you know, what we usually get on this weekend every year. Along with that was kind of the cast. Like, you have John Cho and Andrea Riceborough and Damian Bashir, Betty Gilpin, Lynn Shay,
Jackie Weaver, who's nominated for an Academy Award.
This is a solid cast.
Frankie Faison was
Frankie Faison, William Sadler's in it. He shows up for a couple scenes.
Scenes, and it's like, you know, William Sadler's such a fantastic actor. I don't know if he did this for a check, or because you know, I didn't recognize him for one thing. Like, wait, is that William Sadler up there? But like you just mentioned, it's almost like John Cho's character and I guess Betty Gilpin.
Right.
It's like they were there. Maybe we get them for 7 days.
Yeah.
So let's just shoot their stuff, get them out of here, and we got names for this film.
It kind of goes back to, like, it spreads itself so thin character-wise that's why we never were able to get invested in any of these story strands that are happening, you know, simultaneously or at different times, and that, you know, and then it kind of culminates. It almost works. Like, I was like, okay, like near the end, but then, like, there is no real climactic moment either that is like, oh, that's what we've been building towards. Like, it doesn't earn anything, and so it was just kind of like,
it's
just
so
deflated.
Lackluster. Like I said, because it's predictable.
Yeah, that's
just like you just said. That thing about, and I don't know, if he fought with the studio, because in a way you do kind of feel that tug of war was probably there, where he was like, I want to do it like this. This is what I did with I Was My Mother, which was fantastic. They saw that, and they're like, man, you know, I know you can do this with The Grudge. But they probably didn't let him do it.
Right.
And so there's things in there you could probably feel that it was probably his vision, and they gave him that, or he got that. But there's several. Most
I
of that
have to believe that's it. You know.
Oh, totally.
I hope so. And in a strange way, I kind of hope this is successful and makes enough money that he gets a little more freedom on his next project, and maybe is able to have a bigger budget and do something more interesting with it.
Or he takes this money and he's able to go back to the independent route and do
or he could do that,
something that's more that's much better, or
whatever gains him more freedom to do what he did with his previous film and kind of amplify that a little bit. Yeah, definitely.
Absolutely.
I agree. But no, as you know, here on Tavern Talk, we do out of 5 stars. So if you had to rate Grudge, you know, coming out of it, initial reaction rating, what would you give The Grudge 2020?
Oh my gosh. You mean like 5 stars?
Out of 5 stars, yeah. What would you go?
Probably 2.5 maybe like that.
Yeah.
You know, and that's the thing. I love horror films, and it seems it's really hard to find a good horror film that does what it's supposed to do, I guess.
I'm completely right there with you. I was going to go 2 stars as well. It almost wanted, like, I almost went 2.5 as well because it just feels so middle of the road. But you know, I after watching Eyes of My Mother earlier this week, I was kind of amped for this and was like, oh, this could be a really interesting take on it. And those kind of hopes just deflated as the movie went on. Even though I could see what Pesci was trying to do, it just didn't really culminate in anything that we hadn't seen before. So that's a pretty unenthusiastic recommendation for The Grudge 2020 from Johnny and I. But, you know, there's plenty of great stuff. Definitely subscribe to the channel, get reviews for all the latest releases, see what's worth seeing, see what's worth going to the theater for. And if you're near a movie tavern theater, definitely check out that experience. One of a kind. Thank you to them for always letting us see the movies here, shoot the show in the theaters afterwards. And thank you for watching. Like I said, be sure to subscribe. We've got a whole bunch of new content coming this year, so we hope you subscribe and stick around and check it all out. Other than that, thank you once again, Johnny, for being here. I appreciate it.
Absolutely.
I know it wasn't the best movie to talk about, but
it was fun. It was fun to talk about it, and I thank you so much for having me. And
absolutely,
anytime, I would love to come back. So.
We'd love to have you anytime. So thank you for spending some time with us here. Same goes for you. We'll see you next week with a review of the biggest release like we do every week. Until then.